At Boise State Public Radio, you can listen to all of our podcasts free of charge. We don't lock any episodes. We don't require subscriptions, nothing like that. But the truth is, although our podcasts are free to listen to, they're not cheap to make. A lot of time and resources go into bringing you the daily news on The Connector, statewide voices on Idaho Matters, and the long-form journalism in podcasts like Scandalized, Extremely American, and Mustang. That's why we're asking, if you can, please consider supporting Boise State Public Radio podcasts today. We have a lot of work planned for 2025. Yes, new podcasts, but none of it would be possible without the generous support of our listeners. Every gift matters, whether it's $5 or $50, whatever feels right to you. Head to our website, boisestatepublicradio.org, and click that blue donate button. If you're giving to support podcasts like the one you just hit play on, leave us a comment with your donation and let us know. Your support will help make sure these podcasts keep coming and remain free and accessible to everyone. Thanks so much for listening.
More Idaho Matters right now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Gaudette. Boise has some pretty big climate goals for the future, including becoming carbon neutral by the year 2050. Now, the city has already been working toward those goals by planting trees, creating a youth climate action council, and gathering data on greenhouse gas emissions. Well, now the city is creating a community climate action committee, which will find ways to reach Boise's climate goals. And they're looking for people to join up to share ideas and provide feedback. So here today to tell us more about this is Boise's Mayor, Lauren McLean. Nice to have you with us.
Oh, Gemma, it's great to join you. Thank you.
So, Mayor, what is the Community Climate Action Committee? What will these members be tasked to do?
Well, I'm so glad we're talking about this today because I'm very excited to offer this opportunity to residents of Boise. This is a committee that will help us know how best to propose that residents help us meet our climate goals. I hear all the time from Boiseans that they want to help us meet our climate goals, and this committee will meet over the course of about a year to create a guide and resources that residents of Boise need to take individual climate action.
Okay, I really like this idea of them creating like an action guide because that's tangible, right? So this guide will be called the Community Climate Action Guide. What is it designed to actually do?
Sure. And the group's going to coordinate with city staff and neighbors to share ideas, collect ideas, provide feedback, and act as that sounding board while they're creating the guide. And this guide is going to be a resource that'll define what are going to be the best ways that individual Boiseans can take action, in their homes, at their offices, to help us meet goals. And as you likely know, and our residents know, we've got incredible goals around climate. And to meet those, there's only so much that the city can do itself. To meet those, we need all hands on deck. And this guide will be a resources to residents, offering tools, ideas, information, whatnot, to each and every person that wants to help us meet those goals by taking action at home.
As you mentioned, you really do have some far-reaching climate goals for this city. So I want to start with one goal. And this is your commitment to be 100% clean electricity for city government by 2030. So let's talk a little bit about that. Because 2030, when you say 2030, seems to be a long ways away. That's 5 years from now.
It feels so far away, yet really
Right?
it is so close, right? Yeah. We don't want it to go fast for any reason. Of course, we want to enjoy those 5 years, but before we know it, it'll be 2030. And I am happy to report that we are on track to meet those goals, in large part because of the innovative staff that we have at the City of Boise and the great partnership that we have with Idaho Power. And our goal is to make sure that all of city government, think City Hall, our fire stations, the airport, our water renewal facilities are powered by 100% clean electricity by 2030. And then once we meet that goal, we're going to take what we've learned and the experiences that we've had and work with the community to meet it community-wide, city-wide by 2035.
Okay, and then you really want the city to reach carbon neutrality by the year 2050. Can you talk a little bit about that goal and even how the committee will help Boise get there? Because that's 25 years down the road. I have a feeling, I could be wrong, you are not going to be mayor in 25 years.
I assure you, I will not.
So, how do you move a goal like that forward? Because I'm assuming you really kind of have to set up the infrastructure now.
Yeah, Gemma, that's a great insight into what it is that we're doing. And I want to talk about the goal, why this is so important. We are seeing every year our summers get hotter. All of us are experiencing more smoke in the summers. Like there are real impacts to our health that we're experiencing because of the changing climate. And while a city can't stop that on its own, what we can do, and what I believe our job is to do, because the residents have said we've got to lead, is do everything possible to set our community up for the future, to make sure that we protect everybody's health, that we protect our great quality of life, that through innovation and transition to a clean electricity and a carbon-free economy, that our city, our region, our state is set up to win with jobs of the future so that our kids and grandkids have opportunities. And we're doing this by, as you mentioned, planting more trees. We're going to double our tree canopy at the city of Boise because it cools our neighborhoods down, helps our residents save money on those hot summer days by having cooler neighborhoods. And it also cleans our air. So in so many ways, it makes our neighborhoods more vibrant. It helps us meet our climate goals. And so when we think about making sure that our city is carbon neutral by 2050 so that we are prepared and our kids and grandkids are prepared with great jobs and a healthy city, it is very much about setting the stage today so that the work can continue beyond each and every one of us. That's why we're transitioning to clean electricity and we're electrifying our buildings and electrifying our fleet. That's why we set the goal to double the tree canopy in our city, or to plant seedlings in the Boise National Forest above the Boise River for every resident of Boise. I am so proud of the fact that 98 to 99% of Boiseans recycle. And that's huge because it helps divert waste from the landfill, which also helps us meet our climate goals. There's so many different ways that we're taking both small and large steps today to set whoever comes up after us up for success in the future.
Well, and the thing that some people may not know and talk about kind of being forward thinking in this is that the city of Boise has actually been collecting climate data since the year 2000. So going on almost 25 years now, including how many greenhouse gas emissions the city's government emits every year. So what are you learning from this data that's been collected for more than 2 decades now?
The data is really helpful. I mean, and first off, I truly believe that what gets measured gets managed. So we know what we're dealing with, and then we develop plans to seek to reduce our carbon output. And what we're learning from that is that our geothermal system, an alternative, a clean heat that all of us are so proud of, is a key part of our strategy to reaching carbon neutrality. So we're figuring out ways to expand that system to all the businesses downtown that are in line wanting to hook up as an alternative as a carbon-free clean heat. We know, we can see in the data how our buildings are doing, and it guides our investments in energy efficiency to save our residents money, taxpayers money in the long run. We can see when we electrify our buildings that how they're working and know how we do that better. We've got buildings that we thought would be net zero, and we're actually seeing in this data that they're producing energy. And so we're taking the steps that we've made that have worked and doing it more, and then using this data to correct things that aren't getting us the bang for the buck that we need and helping us think about how to do it better.
And I know you're also collecting data on how much greenhouse gases are produced by the entire city. So we're talking things like cars, residential energy, commercial energy as well. So are you optimistic that, I mean, you mentioned, buildings, right? Even actually generating energy. So I've got to think you're optimistic that you can bring these numbers down and reach these goals.
I'm optimistic, but I'm also realistic. It is not going to be easy, but Boiseans are always at their best when they're facing really difficult challenges, coming together and making sure that we meet broad, far-reaching goals that we set for ourselves. That's why this Climate Action Committee is key in developing that guide. It's why the partnerships that we have with builders and the power company and other businesses are key to meeting those goals. And I'm confident that if we set things up today, there will be even more technology and more ways to reach our goals in the future, that we can't even dream of right now, that we'll be able to take advantage of. And ultimately, like we're seeing around the country, the market will respond too. People are innovating, coming up with solutions, know that this is what we must do to ensure that our region and our city thrives. And so while it'll be tough, we're doing everything we can right now to set us up for success. And then, of course, there's a little bit of optimism, a little bit of wonder and mystery about what's going to come next to help us finish the job and meet those goals by 2050.
So let's talk a little bit more about this Community Climate Action Committee. So who can sign up? I mean, how many folks would you like to see on the committee?
This is a committee, I think that, I am really curious to see the types of people that we get, the number of people that we get, because we've got committees in Boise that are all sorts of sizes, anywhere from committees of 6 to 8, upwards to my Youth Climate Action Council that has about 20 students. So somewhere, in that range is what I expect to see. Anybody in Boise that is committed to being a solutions-oriented problem solver to help us meet our climate goals to set the city up for success is welcome and wanted. Encourage folks to apply. Can't wait to see the recommendations from my internal staff working group that'll review the applications and then to have conversations with folks about joining.
And you said the commitment will be about a year or so?
Yes, that's what we expect. And realistically, about a year, come together, get to know each other, map out some of those goals. There's going to be plenty of opportunities to hear from the public, to collect ideas, and then to work with our team to put forth recommendations, and then to know that the folks that have said yes to this committee, yes to being problem solvers, will have a big part in developing that guide so that Boiseans can work together, as we love to do, to meet our goals and ensure that we're a safe, welcoming, clean, and resilient future city well into the future.
Before I let you go, I mean, how important is it that you have actual community members as a part of this committee putting this climate guide together instead of, frankly, you and your staff, right? I mean, there is a difference between having government say, here's what we want you to do versus community members saying, this is really what we can do together.
Gemma, I really appreciate that question. And I'll answer it with a little story. Just this morning, I was hearing from a diverse group of staff members from all different departments in the city that have spent about the last year talking with all sorts of folks that live and work and seek services in the Shoreline District about their ideas for how a city can partner with others and invest in a neighborhood. And we got great ideas that I can't tell you we necessarily would have dreamed up ourselves if we hadn't gone out and asked for feedback and had deep conversations with folks. That is why having committees like this, seeking feedback from the public is so important, because there's somebody out there with a great idea that we would not be able to dream up ourselves. We want to hear that idea and then figure out how we partner to put it together. And then there's also that piece of the fact that Boiseans love to engage in our city. And I love creating opportunities to hear from folks why they love this place, how they think we could make a difference, how they want to help, and then work together in common cause to meet goals by putting this guide and these plans into action.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time today, Mayor. We've been speaking with Boise's Mayor, Lauren McLean, about the city's new Community Climate Action Committee. The city is taking applications right now. So we will, of course, put links on our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. I'm Gemma Gaudette, and this is Idaho Matters.
We could all use a little help navigating the news these days. The Consider This podcast wants to give you a hand. 6 days a week, we'll help you make sense of the day's biggest news story and what it means for you in less than 15 minutes. Listen now to the Consider This podcast from NPR.